Coming to you live from our studios in Belize City, this is the evening news on Love Television for Wednesday, August 17th. We'll get you started with a look at the stories making the headlines for today. The Prime Minister announces that government will not appeal Chief Justice's ruling on Section 53, despite the appeal by churches. Education campaign on Section 53 ruling to begin. The unions to discuss proposed delay in salary adjustments, and Toledo woman receives training in solar power engineering. Prime Minister Dean Barrow has announced that the government of Belize will not be appealing the decision of the Chief Justice, Kenneth Benjamin, as it relates to the Section 53 of the Constitution that was amended. Chief Justice Benjamin rendered his decision on Wednesday, August 10, declaring Section 53 unconstitutional, as it finds it criminal for consenting adults to engage in sodomy or anal intercourse. The Public Court of Opinions has seen many opposing the ruling, while others embracing it. To get a sense of the ruling, Attorney General Vanessa Retreat opened the press conference hosted this afternoon by the government of Belize at the Belize Biltmore Plaza.
It is the government's duty to regard the decision primarily as a matter of the interpretation and application of the Constitution, and to fully accept that the court is the guardian of the Constitution and is entrusted by the very Constitution to perform that role. The decision to amend Section 53 of the Criminal Code to decriminalize consensual sexual acts between adults in private has generated much controversy. However, the government must accept, as the court has stated, that public opinion cannot be allowed to shift the court from performing its solemn duty to interpret the Constitution, and would add, or the government, from its duty to respect the decision of the court. In this regard, it is of utmost importance that the public understands the findings of the Honorable Chief Justice in their barest form, without the bias of either opposing view. The government, in considering whether it would appeal, embarked on this sober exercise for itself and found the following to be the findings of the Honorable Chief Justice. 1, that consensual sexual acts between adults in private is no longer a crime. And 2, that the Constitution, as it now reads, without any amendment, should be interpreted so as to prevent discrimination against any person as a result of that person's sexual orientation. Those are the very narrow and limited findings of the Chief Justice. The government has closely considered the option of appealing and has sought legal advice as to the possible merits and benefits of appealing. In this regard, it is noted that there were 7 interested organizations which argued the case apart from the claimant and the government, with no less than 15 attorneys representing them. Government is therefore satisfied that the case was properly argued and does not see any aspect of the decision that would benefit from further argument, and as such has taken the decision not to appeal.
With the announcement that the government will not seek to appeal, Prime Minister explained how they came about with this decision.
The position we have taken was come to after a very spirited debate was had among members of Cabinet. The Cabinet is no different from the wider society, and this issue has attracted different opinions that are fiercely held. Cabinet, therefore, wants it to be made absolutely clear that the position taken is driven principally by what the Honorable Attorney General has said, a considered examination of the legal merits or otherwise of an appeal. In other words, there are very many members of cabinet who would want to make clear that their support of the decision taken must be placed in that narrow legal context. It should not be interpreted as any blanket support for LGBT positions. Similarly, there are members of cabinet who do support those positions. And that is why it is so important to make clear that where cabinet comes together and is prepared to act as one in a united fashion is on this question of the legal merits of the decision given by the Honorable Chief Justice.
As it relates to an appeal of the judgment, Attorney General Retriege indicated that the churches do have a way for an appeal.
Also conscious that the option of appealing is open to one or more of the interested parties, and it is not the government's intent to influence or in any way preclude any legal steps which others may consider that they wish to pursue. The government is, however, satisfied that it must not appeal simply for the sake of appealing, but must ensure that its actions best serves the interests of the Belizean people. The court has decided that Section 53, which was challenged, was a law which criminalized private sexual conduct between consenting adults and therefore discriminated against the right to privacy and dignity. The government respects that decision and finding.
Today's press conference saw the presence of several private citizens in attendance, as well as members of the religious community. One of the arguments or fears of several pockets of society is whether or not this ruling is the start of other freedoms for the homosexual group, including, but not limited to, same-sex marriages. Prime Minister Dean Barrow gave assurances that it will not be the case.
It is fundamental that I stress this, because certainly in the letter from the Roman Catholic bishops, they are saying that it is imperative that an appeal be lodged. Why? Because in every part of the world where decriminalization has been successfully challenged, it has been swiftly followed by the passing of gay marriage laws that seriously violate a child's right to a mother and a father, restrict freedom of conscience and religion, and impose a draconian gender agenda in the school system. Now, I don't agree that that's an inevitable or even necessary consequence of the Chief Justice's ruling. In fact, I hold the opposite view, and Cabinet is also so convinced that this does not open the door to gay marriage. Nothing can stop the people who believe in that from agitating, from taking legal action, but it is not fair to the Chief Justice's ruling, in my view, to suggest that that ruling in any way opens the door to that. This was a matter of striking down or reading down a section of the criminal code that imposed criminal sanctions on what was, even if on actions that were consensual. That's a far cry. It's a huge leap to go from there to suggest that somehow the door is open to gay marriage. And I will tell you that Cabinet is absolutely clear, based on the advice from the lawyers, that that is not the case. But because the gentlemen of the cloth feel so strongly that that is what the ruling does, please, by all means, go ahead and appeal and seek to vindicate your position.
In response to government's decision, Love News asked Caleb Orozco to weigh in on the issue.
For the first time, the state has shown the substance to its commitment to its own citizen, and I have humble appreciation for that responsible response and constructive dialogue that took place.
And also your comments on him talking about not wanting or not planning to entertain gay marriages.
That is the right of the Prime Minister to take a position on that issue. As you said, we have every right to take our issue to court if it's a major or serious concern for us. That issue will not develop for many, many years because we still have quality of life issues like employment, education, healthcare issues which need to be addressed, and those issues have not been addressed sufficiently yet.
Orozco was the party who took on the claimant position in the challenge to Section 53. Interested parties in the ruling of Section 53 have until the end of the month to submit an application for appeal of the Chief Justice's ruling. Prime Minister Dean Barrow shared 2 correspondences from the Churches Association asking that he appeal on their behalf. Prime Minister reiterated their decision not to appeal, but explained the options that are available.
It also wants to make the point that while in and of itself, this is a corrosively divisive issue, it is made more so in consequence of the tremendous degree of misunderstanding, misapprehension, and misinformation that surrounds the issue. Cabinet considers that government has a duty to do in a more expansive way what the Honorable Attorney General has done. That is, to have the AG and other ministers do the media circuit in order to seek to educate the public, number one, as to the reasons for Cabinet's decision, but number 2, and more importantly, as to what exactly the judgment means and as to what the judgment does not mean. When I speak about misunderstanding, misapprehension, misinformation, I'm not being judgmental. I'm just being factual. I want to make clear that based on 2 letters that I have received, one from the Roman Catholic Chancery Office, signed by both Roman Catholic bishops, that is Bishop Doric Wright and Bishop Christopher Glancy. There is a point that the AG dealt with that needs to be repeated because obviously the Roman Catholic bishops were not aware of the position. They say to me that I am to appeal the Supreme Court decision in the case of Caleb Orozco and the Attorney General. And they go on to say, as you are aware, the church participated in this case as an interested party, and as such has no standing to bring an appeal. That power lies strictly within the purview of the government of Belize. We trust that in discharging your duties as Prime Minister of our nation, you will protect and preserve the collective conscience of all our people and not a select few. Well, the Attorney General has just said, it is not the position that the churches cannot on their own bring an appeal. It is important because the letter from the National Evangelical Association of Belize also seems to misunderstand the situation. They say, "Greetings, we are writing concerning Chief Justice Kenneth Benjamin's recent ruling on Section 53 of the Criminal Code, the sodomy law of Belize. We are requesting you to appeal the Chief Justice's ruling as well as enter an appeal for the church as an interested party in this case." No, sirs. You are perfectly free to apply to court to be given leave to appeal. As I understand it, you need not even have been an interested party to be able to get leave to appeal. As long as you can show that the decision of the court affects you, you are entitled to apply for leave to appeal. In this case, because you were interested parties, it strikes me that you are almost immediately and automatically there. I don't think it is that you can appeal without applying for leave to appeal. But I need to say to you and to the Roman Catholics that that was part of the matrix of considerations that Cabinet took on board when it made its decision not to appeal. We know how strongly you feel about this issue. The fact is, you can appeal. Government does not see that on the merits, an appeal would succeed, and so, based on our legal advice, we're not going to appeal. But it is perfectly open to you to appeal.
Pastor Scott Sturm, however, spoke to Love News and says that they have been advised by their councils that they would not be able to appeal.
Them to not appeal it, and so the Prime Minister is saying that the church can appeal as an interested party. All of the counsel that we got from attorneys is that that's not the case, and then the Attorney General's answer was very ominous and didn't want to say anything direct. So anyways, we're deeply concerned about the outcome of the ruling, and so obviously we're looking at every option, and we'll take every action we possibly can.
Now, Pastor Sturm, talk to me in terms of what is it exactly that the church fears with the CJ ruling?
I'm not sure if it's so much an issue of fear as much as there's no doubt that this is a moral issue, and all that anybody needs to do is open their eyes and look at other democracies in the world, some of the world's leading democracies, and things that are happening that is taking away people's rights and freedoms in the name of somebody else's rights. I'm talking about children being taken away from parents if the parents withhold them from school when homosexual presentations are being made. That is happening in other countries. It's happening in Germany. It's happening in the United States. It's happening in Canada. And so there's no doubt it's a moral issue that has huge ramifications. And one of our biggest concerns, number one, we're not led by fear. Okay, but we do feel a societal responsibility. The Constitution mentions, I think, 6 times about public morality, and attorneys for the church in the court case stated if the church is not the guardian of public morality, then who is? And so we do feel a very strong, sober responsibility in that area. But one of our primary concerns is in relation to the children and how that relates to education curriculum, like what we saw with the HFLE manual, which was targeted at standard 4, 5, and 6 kids, talking openly about anal sex and asking loaded true-false questions, that you would think the answer is true, but the true answer is false.
A window of 21 days remains open until August 31st for an appeal to be submitted. During today's press conference, Prime Minister Dean Barrow explained particularly to the religious community who have been in opposition of the ruling that the government will be embarking on an education campaign aimed at clarifying several points that have been misconstrued in the entire discussion of Section 53 and the court's ruling.
Cabinet also wants to make the point that while in and of itself, this is a corrosively divisive issue, it is made more so in consequence of the tremendous degree of misunderstanding, misapprehension, and misinformation that surrounds the issue. Cabinet considers that government has a duty to do in a more expansive way what the Honorable Attorney General has done. That is, to have the AG and the other ministers do the media circuit in order to seek to educate the public, number one, as to the reasons for Cabinet's decision, but number two, and more importantly, as to what exactly the judgment means and as to what the judgment does not mean. When I speak about misunderstanding, misapprehension, misinformation, I'm not being judgmental. I'm just being factual. There is this huge degree of ignorance, meaning lack of knowledge, not in the Creole sense. And I repeat that it is Cabinet's duty to try to, as far as possible, rid the issue of certainly the severity of the misunderstanding that attends it. That is going to be a tall order. And even if Cabinet and the executive were to succeed, and we were left with just the facts, those facts would still generate this huge level of controversy and difference of opinion.
Attorney General Vanessa Richridge told Love News that they will begin to make the rounds at the various talk shows in the near future. Yesterday, we brought you the story of Senior Superintendent Lyndon Flowers appealing to the public with information on the government SUV that was stolen on Sunday evening. Following today's press conference, we asked Prime Minister Dean Barrow to weigh in on the incident.
He had a press briefing and I didn't see it. I
with
read,
lots of
but
ums
it
and
looks,
ums that I have never heard from him before.
Got the impression that it went remarkably well. It did. I didn't see it. Maybe when you read the thing and actually see it, you get a different
You knew to
perspective.
have heard him.
Well, I didn't. He had called me from the Sunday night because when I first heard about it, I thought that maybe he had been in the vehicle and I was concerned about his safety. And he said no. From then he told me that the vehicle had to have been stolen. Now, clearly, a question has arisen, stolen by whom, and the police have been told, try to get to the bottom of this, and as far as I know, that's where things are. The circumstances he described to me did not quite amount to his giving his friend the key and saying, you can go drive the vehicle. So, without getting into the details of what he told me, while this is unfortunate, I don't know that the blame goes beyond what he conceded to me. It was not optimal stewardship of government's resources. But I don't know that it is such as would entitle me to say, no, you want to buy back your own vehicle. I don't think so. But he and I will obviously have to have a discussion if and when it appears that the vehicle is irreparably damaged. I don't know that that is the case.
The vehicle was driven into the Caribbean Sea on Sunday night and it was extracted just before 9 o'clock. No one has been arrested to date. In his last press conference held on August 5, 2016, Prime Minister Dean Barrow spoke of the possibility of having the implementation of the agreed salary increases for teachers and public officers. The thought was shared following the damages that Hurricane Earl left behind when it made landfall in the Belize district. Today, the Prime Minister updated the media on the progress of that discussion.
As far as I know, the delay that is being sought by the Prime Minister to the unions is not necessarily because of the economic situation. In fact, you will remember that the unions and the Financial Secretary shook hands and signed off on what the payment would be. And so that was intended to have been paid. Enters Earl, and of course you know the difficulty we saw there. So the Prime Minister, as a result of the devastation of Hurricane Earl and the Ministry of Finance and the wider government having to find monies in the immediate aftermath of Earl to deal with these situations, has made that plea to the group of unions that were in the collective bargaining agreement negotiations. I'm pretty sure that they met with the Prime Minister on Monday, and I think it is the BNTU that primarily indicated that they...
That was Education Minister Patrick Faber, who weighed in on the issue, saying that this would be the final aspect of the collective bargaining agreement between government and the unions. Once agreed upon between government and the unions, this would indicate the last item surrounding the collective bargaining agreement, which Minister Faber says he hopes will not experience as much delays in the future.
This area of the city, of course, you know, is fast growing. In fact, with the introduction of the new bridge there and the new community that will come on the other side of the highway, this is an area that is very much in need of a school. In fact, the government has plans, if you recall, when we spoke about those new schools that would be built, one of them would be built in the Gongolong area. So we're suspecting that we'll find some piece of land right near the bridge foot on that side to serve as well. But everybody knows that the children in this part of Belize City have to go all the way out. I think the closest school may be Clara Mohammed School. And so they have to go to St. John Vianney. That's the other one, the other nearest one. And that's quite a distance from here. And given the number of children that live in this area, we have long wanted our own school in this area. And this project that is an extension of Grace Primary has long been in the pipeline. As you heard from those who spoke this morning, this parcel of land, 3 acres, was granted to the school, I think back in 2003, so that's 13 years ago. So for us today, this is a happy occasion. It is a great occasion for the people of Collet, also for the people of Grace Primary. As I mentioned in my remarks this morning, there is no hurricane shelter in this portion of the Collet area. I believe the nearest hurricane shelter would be in Port Loyola, which is the Y, if they still use the Y. I'm not even sure that the Y is suitable for a hurricane shelter, but that is where we're at in terms of this celebration. And as I mentioned, right across the street there is a football field that needs developing, and we are going to work quickly to develop that football field for the residents. It is a promise that I've long made to the residents of this part of my constituency.
It is yet to be ascertained when the unions will be meeting with its membership to discuss the matter. A woman from rural Toledo who traveled to India to receive training in solar power engineering has become a leading role model for females in her home village and other rural communities in Toledo. Correspondent Paul Mahang has the details.
A very determined Santa Teresa woman, Florentina Choco, went beyond her daily and traditional Maya village lifestyle in her home community of Santa Teresa, Toledo, as she traveled to Barefoot College in India, where she received intensive training to install and repair small household and community-level solar systems. From verbal expressions in her community, Florentina Choco has won the admiration of her village leaders, family, villagers, and others beyond, and is well appreciated and respected as the first indigenous solar engineer in Belize, trained at Barefoot College in India. With her return, Florentina is now also well known and recognized as the woman who brought light to her home village, as she played a major and leading role in the installation of solar power electricity and lights in Santa Teresa. Love News caught up with Florentina Choco, who spoke of her most recent challenging life decision, task, and experience.
I was given a 6-month scholarship to go to India across the globe at the Barefoot College to study solar engineering through Plenty Belize. It was a very challenging task for me, but against all my fear, I took opportunity and made the 4-day trip to India, mostly on my own. 2 persons were elected at the first place, but when the time came that we had to leave our family, our loved ones, our country, my partner changed her mind. She is no longer going to India now. What am I to do? What am I to say? I decided to give up to everything as well. But thanks to my sons, they give me courage, hope, confidence to not to give up. And here I am along with the solar board managing the project that has commenced 7 months ago in Santa Teresa village. All the people are grateful for the job that I have done in this village, and every house have lights, and most important, the high school students have a more easy access in doing their homework or course or whatever task they given by their teacher. We all benefit from this solar system. Ever since we install solar panels, inverters, charge controllers in my home, I haven't found no problems. Or I mean, all is functioning well with the light and the inverters and panels. All is functioning properly. And we are working together, the solar board, as a group, managing and serving our people with the best service we could.
Florentina Choco commented that there is great potentials for other rural and remote villages in Toledo to use solar energy and learn from the good practices of appropriately using solar power energy as recently implemented in Santa Teresa Village, Toledo. Reporting for Love News, Paul Mahone, Punta Gorda.
We have been reporting on the recovery efforts being carried out for victims of Hurricane Earl. Among the victims of Hurricane Earl is the family of Karina Gonzalez of Rio Bravo Crescent. The family of 6 is living under inhumane conditions as the part of the house that they were renting blew off. Karina Gonzalez tells us what they are going through, stating that they need to leave the house but have no finance to rent another one.
We really want help to make me move out from the house because they destroyed the everything, and we really want this thing to make to help with. Just move out from the house because the house destroyed, and so I want to move out because the one thing I was worried about me, they cheap it then and make that thing because that's a hole in the house. All that time I make the if it please do that for thank them for help me with that.
When it rains, does water go in?
Yeah, it rains go in there. Like we live outside because when it rain, all water come in. We have to stay one spot, squeeze it all away because the water come in. I don't move out because I don't have the thing money for make that thing because that's why I want to help me uncle with that for make I pay the house rent. Then for the rest I will just drive where I do. Just drive the. Just to pay that first rent for me, I will thank them. We can't bathe in our bathroom. We can't lose the bathroom. We have to bathe outside.
Have you asked the government for assistance?
I asked the government. This is the first time I'm going to ask the government because I bought for boots. I got to ask about, he said here, and yeah, say.
Have you been to the Human Development?
Yeah, that day we can Monday, me and all of the family, they say me I come see the thing, I said, but they not come today.
The family pays $250 monthly to rent their current home. They will greatly appreciate any assistance provided. You can reach Karina Gonzalez at the number 669-4571. Late last month, a fire completely destroyed the home of the Haas family on Aloe Vera Street in the Lake Independence area of Belize City. Since then, the family of 6 has been struggling to recover. Today, we visited the family and spoke with David Haas.
A fire consumed both structures and destroyed everything that the Haas's family owned. Children's school books, furniture, everything was destroyed by the fire, and this is all that is left of their properties. Today, the family, 2 adults and 4 children, spoke with Love News about the assistance that they need to recover their lives. What happened on the morning of July 26th?
I got up and let them take a bath. I feed them, took them to the babysitter, and I went to work. And when I went to work, somebody called me and told me that the structure was on fire. And when we got here, it was already destroyed. So I don't know who started. I don't know how it started. I never left nothing light. I never left nothing on. We never have nothing in the upstairs that shorted on electricity or nothing like that. So I don't know what happened. So this is where I stand.
What did the fire department say was the cause of the fire?
They didn't know at the time. They didn't know. And I see there right on the report that the fire started from the ground, and everybody said that the fire started from upstairs. People have it on Facebook and everything, and everybody said the fire started from upstairs. But I don't know how they're going to say it started from. I don't know where it started from. I had a store there in the front of the property, right there. Then I had a 40 by 40 up and down structure right here, and the store had a lots of stuff in it. It had a game room over there, had a bicycle repair shop. We sell food, canned food, snacks and drinks, soft drinks and juice and like that.
How the family is coping with the destruction?
It's real rough. We're taking it real hard because we don't know where to turn to, because school is getting ready to open and we need some school books, we need some school bags, we need some. Most of all we need is a shelter, a good shelter over the kids' head. That's the most thing and the most important thing we need, because the school things, we can always work on it one by one, but we need it too. We need it. We need the school things and we need the house, a good shelter over their head. I got some help from the Church of Christ. They helped me to set this thing up right here, you see. So that's where I stand.
And the entire family is living there this moment?
Yes, the entire family. Me and my 4 kids and my common-law.
David Haas stated that he worked 16 years for the property that was destroyed. He is asking the public for any type of assistance to build a shelter for his family and for school supplies for the children to go back to school.
I'm appealing to the public for some assistance for a home for my kids and some school stuff, some school supply and some sun, like you see, to fill up the property and some material, and we could take it from there. Because I'm a pretty good builder. So if the public can assist me with some material, I can do the rest. And some sun to fill up, and I can manage the rest.
11-year-old Shanika Haas told us what she lost in the fire and what the public can do to help them.
What are the things that you had that were lost in the fire?
Miss, my rabbit, my books, my school bag, everything lost in me, miss. And I got nothing right now, miss. Everything lost. Everything lost. Just dust, everything that to dust right now.
What went through your mind when you saw your whole home being devastated by this fire?
I feel like I drop down. I don't know what for me do when the big blaze start. I don't know how me I try to out it because the blaze big and nobody me can out it. Yes, Mama will ask them for assistance if they could help any kind of thing that could help with family.
You can reach the family at phone number 633-3389. That number is 633-3389. The family has a bank account at Atlantic Bank number 211408831. The Atlantic Bank account number is 211408831. Any assistance will be greatly appreciated. For years, the management of Grace Primary School has been working on plans to have an extension to their school built on a 3-acre parcel of land on Fabers Road in Belize City. To date, the school has just under 500 students enrolled, and each year they have had to turn down applications due to limited classroom space. Today, the school is seeing the light at the end of the tunnel as ground was broken at the Fabers Road location, with plans to begin construction within a few weeks. Brenda Hyde, the school's vice principal, spoke to Love News on how far they have come.
For this location, we plan to expand Grace Primary School, but in the initial stage, we are getting 4 classrooms, so we are not sure exactly what we want to do, but we may bring over the upper division for now, since it's just 4 classrooms. Definitely, we have outgrown Grace Primary School. The amount of people who apply to come to Grace Primary every year, we could start a new school. So we definitely need the space because there is no more room at the present Grace Primary location for expansion. Every year we get over 100 applications, but we can only take about 50.
William Lamb is the executive director for the Social Investment Fund. According to him, there was a process to undergo in order to get the funds approved for the construction of the 4-classroom structure.
Everything starts from a request coming from a school or an institution to SIF. SIF have to take all of these in terms of when funds are available to put them on the list and get the relevant designs and following the bank's procurement procedures in getting here. One of the things in taking on a project is agreeing to execute it as per generally what the school desires or requested, and so we have to carry out an appraisal and take it to our boards and approval by CDB, and now we are here after the procurement process and national competitive bidding. It was in the papers for over a month, and a contractor has been selected to start the works. So this contractor has been a contract has been signed with this contractor, and so we are here doing the groundbreaking ceremony for this project. The project is little over $500,000 Belize and is triple E construction. This is under a loan agreement that the government of Belize have with the Caribbean Development Bank. And this is the second loan, so we call it like SIF2 loan, and it is to facilitate the education, health, social, water sector, and this is just one of the projects over the years in implementing this loan that we are executing this. We have several other education projects in Belize City that is also funded through this loan.
Minister of Education Patrick Faber was on hand for the ceremony, and he says this project is falling into line of what they had foreseen for the area.
This area of the city, of course, is fast growing. In fact, with the introduction of the new bridge there and the new community that will come on the other side of the highway, this is an area that is very much in need of a school. In fact, the government has plans, if you recall, when we spoke about those new schools that would be built, one of them would be built in the Gongolong area. So we're suspecting that we'll find some piece of land right near the bridge foot on that side to serve as well. But everybody knows that the children in this part of Belize City have to go all the way out. I think the closest school may be Clara Mohammed School. And so they have to go to St. John Vianney. That's the other one, the other nearest one. And that's quite a distance from here. And given the number of children that live in this area, we have long wanted our own school in this area. And this project that is an extension of Grace Primary has long been in the pipeline. As you heard from those who spoke this morning, this parcel of land, 3 acres, was granted to the school, I think back in 2003, so that's 13 years ago. So for us today, this is a happy occasion. It is a great occasion for the people of Collet, also for the people of Grace Primary. As I mentioned in my remarks this morning, there is no hurricane shelter in this portion of the Collet area. I believe the nearest hurricane shelter would be in Port Loyola, which is the Y, if they still use the Y. I'm not even sure that the Y is suitable for a hurricane shelter, but that is where we're at in terms of this celebration. And as I mentioned, right across the street there is a football field that needs developing, and we are going to work quickly to develop that football field for the residents. It is a promise that I've long made to the residents of this part of my constituency.
It is anticipated that the building will be ready for use by the 2017 academic year. Love News has received reports of a traffic incident that occurred in Jamapa, Veracruz, in Mexico, just before 7 o'clock last night that claimed the life of a Belizean man. Reports coming from the authorities in that municipality are that 2 men, namely 50-year-old Rene August of San Ignacio Town and 67-year-old Juan Rudon, were traveling in a red Ford Escape with a black Jeep Patriot in tow when August lost control of the vehicle and it overturned. The authorities reportedly arrived at the scene of the incident shortly after. The Gang Resistance Education and Training GREAT program has been conducted in Belize for many years, facilitated by the American Embassy. Today, we caught up with the officers as they were being trained to go into classrooms all over the country and to teach children about gang violence. Team leader Sergeant Zenobel Koch spoke with us about what the officers are learning.
We are training 40 officers in the Belize Police Department, and we basically teach them how to teach students. Basically, after the training, after they are certified, they will get to go back to their respective districts, and they will get to go to a classroom where they will facilitate these lectures. So they will be trained first. Based on the evaluation, if they get to pass, then they get certified. They are just adjusting, but they are loving it, and they actually emphasize that the training is actually a headway, and they will become a better officer, of course, and also be able to interact with the youths. They teach the students basic life skills, which for example, refusal skills, how to show empathy, goals, and all of these beautiful life skills that they will be teaching to the kids. And we have seen a drastic improvement in the lives of these youths in Belize.
A woman police corporal from Punta Gorda, Therese Allen, is participating in the program and spoke with us about how it is impacting her work.
We're learning how to take out the GREAT program to the students in the schools. As we know, the acronym for the GREAT is Gang Resistant Education and Training, getting children how to deal with gangs and how to know how to say no to the gang resistance. No? It is very important to reach these children because nowadays we know that most people or gangs go into the school or stay by the school gate or so and try to get students to be a part of their gang. So by us teaching it at the school, we'll teach them that it is not a good thing and they can get in trouble for doing that. Violence right now is very high, and I think we in Belize, we need to do a lot more, and this GREAT program will really help us a lot.
The program will run for 8 days at the Radisson Fort George in Belize City. Chinese businessman David Huang, who was ordered by Justice Shona Griffith to pay $108,000 to Kelvin Aguilar in a civil suit, was remanded into police custody today when he appeared before Justice Griffith on the strength of a committal warrant. Huang was given until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning to make payment of some of the money, which now amounts to $117,400, with the accrued interest. If he fails to pay, he will be sent to prison to serve 6 weeks in the first instance for distress. He will serve another 6 weeks if he fails to make payment after he is released. The sentence of 6 weeks will continue until the money is paid. On April 17, 2015, judgment was obtained against Huang as a result of a traffic accident in which a Buick driven by him collided into a motorcycle driven by Aguilar at mile 3.5 on the Philip Goldson Highway. Aguilar was represented by attorney Mark Williams. Our thought conditioner for today is from Henry David Thoreau. It reads, quote, "Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life that you have imagined." End of quote. This has been the evening news on Love Television, and we invite you to log on to our website at www.lovefm.com for transcripts of our news stories. Thank you for watching us. Have a safe and enjoyable evening. I am Taryn Butcher.